Hey there, folks. Welcome once again to the Human Music live stream. And today we're continuing on yesterday's theme, which was composing using Swarm instruments by Audio Modeling from Italy, which are highly advanced physical modeling virtual instruments, such as cellos and trombones. And actually, I don't have the trombones, I have the trumpet. Um, and using a expressive controller, which in my case is the Lynn instrument that I have in front of me. This will be uh, the end of a full week of using the Lynn instrument because we already started using the Lynn instrument to control the with the steam pipe hardware synthesizer, also a physical modeling synthesizer by Erica Synths. Hi Mithupa, welcome my friend, my young friend from Sri Lanka. This is Guess what, Mithupa? I showed audio modeling our stream from yesterday, and they liked it so much they gifted me another license for the string section. So that's not solo string instruments. That's so I can actually do your idea now of the spiccato or staccato violins, which I didn't have yesterday. So I'm very happy. I have a few new things to show off today. The perks of being a synthfluencer, I guess. One of them is that, guess what? I'm opening up my instrument. I just removed all the screws because I got a new surface for it. A new surface by Sound Workshop. Is that how they're called? Again, I kind of forget a little bit. Yeah, Sound Workshop. So why don't we have a quick look on their website while I'm, oh my God, my original instrument surface is super dirty. I mean, I I should be cleaning this regularly. It's got lots of dirt on it. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it real nice. And but for now, we're gonna add this wonderful black textured with these little raised bumps. See, you see those? It has these raised bumps to make it more haptic, to make it like you can so you can feel and not rely so much on looking at the instrument in order to be able to control it. So it looks like all of the screw holes line up completely perfectly. So that's very nice. But let's turn the camera a little bit so you can see it more. Wow, this is gonna look so nice too because it's black, just like the surrounding frame from the instrument. So wow, it changes the look of makes it very modern, very sleek. And the LED lights come through these little slits now, rather than lighting up the whole square. So yeah, this is also going to be a little bit of a review today of this wonderful new Surface by Sound Workshop. Why don't we open a Google page here? Oh, that's my emails. Don't need to look at my emails. Don't take any screenshots of that, people. Have to go there and blur that out. Anyway, Sound Workshop, and I'm just gonna write instrument just to make sure that we're getting the right places. Yeah. So they make two hardware instruments, the Chord, which is the one we're looking at here on the screen, and that one is, it's a really cool chordal generator. It has these knobs, this faders here to control the volume of each note on the chord. And it's a sound bath synthesizer and harmony exploration machine with four sawtooth waves that provide the raw sound. But they also do something really interesting that I saw last year at the Super Booth, which I'm missing this year. So much FOMO. And that's this thing here, the Wiggler. And the Wiggler has these 4 touch devices here that you control it with. And it's really, really interesting and nice, very musical, very expressive. And even on the theme of today, which is using touch, expressive touch controllers, right? But right now, neither of these are available. They're they're working on them, on making them available for purchase. And this is the instrument surface that they were kind enough to send me as a gift. He says that it's in as thanks for all the videos that I've done in the past that have inspired him. Uh, so I'm not required or expected to do any promotion, but I do feel like it would be a nice gesture on my part to at least show you guys here in the stream um, this really sleek. If nothing else, it's very beautiful, and it'll be a nice, refreshing refresher aesthetically for my instrument. It might inspire me to want to play it more, just because the psychological effect of having a shiny new something or other. Okay, so I'm gonna tighten up these, tighten up the screws not too much here on the frame of the instrument. I've done this once before. I needed to calibrate the instrument, and before I did that, I just removed the surface and made sure that it was on very flat and lined up perfectly. A few years ago, and Roger instructed me on how to calibrate it. Once you replace the control surface, and there's nothing wrong with my original one. It's a nice piece of silicone that I'm just gonna wash and set aside for if I ever want to return it, return my instrument to its original form. But I have a feeling that as a bass player, somebody who's very tactile, I might prefer this one. I might really enjoy this surface, not only the looks of it, but also how it feels. But we'll have to see how it responds, right? That remains to be seen, and that we'll do once we calibrate it. And don't worry, calibration is a very um, quick and painless procedure. In fact, this video might serve as a little bit of a demonstration of that aspect of the instrument, how how easy it is to calibrate it when you've replaced the surface, as well as a demonstration of the new surface. And I was mentioning in the beginning of the stream, for those who are just joining, that I shared yesterday's stream with my friend Emanuele over at Audio Modeling in Italy. And he really liked it so much so that he was super kind and gifted me a license for another instrument that we're going to check out and look at today, which is their string sections. So it'll be my first section. I've only used their solo instruments up to this point, and now we're going to check out a section. That's going to be exciting. All right. Um, oh, your YouTube account is almost as old as me. Is it? Yeah, I think it's like 15 years old, isn't it? Yeah, I'm old, folks. I'm turning 50 in a couple of days. No, that's not really that old, is it? Nowadays, I don't feel old anyway, most of the time, unless I'm trying to break dance or something. Then I kind of like, oh, it's not as easy anymore. Okay, so in order to calibrate this, I need to have a quick look the um, at the instructional video by Roger Lynn. fact, why don't we look at it together, right? I can just load it up. Lynn Instrument Disassembly 2024. So it's a new one. This is a new video then, because I'm used to, I did this before 2024, so it was a different video that Roger had sent me initially. So Linstrument Disassembly, Linstrument Disassembly 2024. This is the one. See, this is Mr. Roger Lynn.
Hi, I'm Roger Lynn. In this video, I'm going to show how to disassemble and reassemble your Linstrument or Linstrument 128 in order to install replacement parts or perform repairs. If you're considering buying an instrument, this video will also show you how easy it is to do these things by yourself at home. Note that disassembling your instrument does not void the warranty, but I prefer that you don't take it apart unless you need to. In this video, I'll be showing the large Linstrument model, but the Linstrument 128 is identical except for the shorted length. The video is divided into chapters that are shown at the top of the screen. But for most repairs, you'll only be watching specific sections. The Installing Replacement Parts page on my site instructs you regarding which sections to watch for each type of part replacement. Here goes. Here's how to remove the top panel and playing surface.
Okay.
First, remove the screws
I've
around
done
the
that
top
already.
panel edges and put them in a cup so
Hold
they
on.
don't get lost in your carpet.
Here we go. We're getting better volume here for my voice. And yeah, I've done this already, right? In fact, I've already replaced
Now lift off the top
surface
panel.
and replaced the screws.
If you're replacing the white playing surface sensor sheet because it is highly sensitive and fragile. First, there's a small amount of residual adhesive from the sensor fabrication process that makes it stick a little to the circuit board beneath it a little. To break this adhesive, use an ordinary dull kitchen knife and slide it under the edges of the sensor sheet along the full length
Yeah,
of
I don't think I need to do that.
Out of their tiny connectors.
It's not the first time.
If you're replacing the touch
yeah, we're
sensor
not
sheet,
removing the sensor. I'm going to go, folks, I don't want to waste your time. You can watch this video in your own time if you're curious. I'm going to go straight ahead to the calibration procedure. Once the
press the electrical contacts of the bottom of the touch sensor sheet against the mating contacts on the top of the circuit board. So if a screw is too loose, the contacts may not touch and Y-axis movements may not work properly on columns that are near the loose screw. Or if too tight, the white playing surface may bulge out, given that it's flexible silicone rubber, and not look pretty near the screw. But don't worry, there's actually a very wide range of screw tightness that will work fine.
Right, so I remembered that from last time, and indeed I was very careful just now to not over tighten or under tighten any of the screws. I'm pretty sure. I think this one might require a little bit more. Yeah, I'm just making sure none of them are protruding past the metal frame, and that should be enough indication that they're not too loose. And you know, as long as I don't squeeze them in and don't see any bulges on the silicone, that would probably mean that it's not too tight either. So now the screws.
With the top panel,
he's replacing the screws.
In the hole, and the image to the right
Let's
side.
continue to skip forward
amount of shrinkage.
and find.
It's going to be very helpful because that will help if you happen to be in a warm climate from the sheet expanding, which is something that is naturally done for silicone under heat. It won't expand very much if it does, but it's just enough. So we're adding just a little bit of surface tension. Do the same thing here.
Oh, interesting. The new surface doesn't show very clearly the divisions between notes. So basically the LED slit is your indication of the center of each note. So it's kind of like a fretless, aligned fretless base.
Output on one pad within each column.
Right. So So yeah, I'll be using it kind of like a fretless, where you use the center position, um, so like the fret lines, right, to indicate what notes you want to play. So this is different than having squares now. We go for the slits, right? That's going to change a little bit how I interact with it. But yeah, already the slits give me a tactile indication as well. If I were visually impaired, for example, I think the traditional surface also has little ridges, but on the edge, right? And these ones allow me to actually like find the note, not the edges of the notes. So I think this would feel better for someone who's visually impaired to play the instrument. It's more you get more feedback, more tactile feedback from it. All right, let's connect the USB cable to it. He's already telling us to test things about it, to plug it in and test things about it.
Same thing down here. And adding this surface tension is going to be very helpful because that will help if you happen to be in a warm climate from the sheet expanding, which is something that is naturally done for silicone under heat. It won't expand very much if it does, but it's just enough. So we're adding just a little bit of surface tension. Do the same thing here and the same thing here. Stretching it up, stretching it down. Now verify that the screws are tightened correctly by testing Y-axis output on one pad within each column. To do this, you can use a MIDI monitoring app like MIDI Monitor on Mac or MIDI OX on Windows, watching for sent control chain 74 messages in response to moving your finger within a pad.
Sorry, folks,
Or you can use Linstrument's option is going to be very helpful.
I had to go behind my desk for a bit to untangle my USB cable so that it could reach this portion of my desk. So who's here with me besides Metupa? Say hi if anyone is here. I'm super late. I thought of it late, but I didn't mention to Roger himself that we're doing this today in case he happened to be completely, which I doubt. He's a very busy man. But if he happened to be free. And I also told Emanuele from audio modeling, and he said he might try to join us today. By the way, one more thing that just came in the mail for me. I got 2 kits of other tactile synthesizers that are looking real nice. These are from Zex. Is that how you say that? Zex or HX House. Info at Hex House. Hex House is the company. So I guess that's X with a line is supposed to be an H. That's an interesting way to do an H. Cool. So yeah, I'm gonna build these. I'm gonna make build videos of these. They're simple DIY kits. Most of the surface mount components are pre-soldered. So anyway, let's continue with this. And
because that will help if you happen to be in a warm climate from the sheet expand of the front edge. So I'm going to start with the 2 screws in the middle, and I'm going to press the surface so that that margin between the pads and metal cutout is even.
I didn't do that.
Then I'm going to tighten that one using the same rule. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here. And adding this surface tension is going to be very helpful.
Well, hopefully it'll still work anyway.
You happen to be in a warm climate from the sheet expanding.
It's not that warm over here.
Something that on one pad within each column.
Test screw tightness. Let's see.
Here.
How do we test that?
Stretching it up, stretching it down.
But it seems to be reacting.
Now verify that the screws are tightened correctly by testing Y-axis output on one pad within each column. To do this, you can use a MIDI monitoring app like MIDI Monitor on Mac or MIDI OX on Windows, watching for sent control chain 74 messages in response to moving your finger within a pad in the Y.
Okay, let's do that by using the Swam cello. All right, so I can view how the cello bow moves closer or farther from the bridge right here. So yeah, look at that. It's picking up perfectly from 0 to maximum position on my vertical. Hey, this is already working really well. Might not need to calibrate. It feels really nice. Yeah, I can close my eyes and play now. You have to kind of get used to it. One thing that I did like about the other one is that the note that you push, that you play, lights up a different color. And now that I have to play right on the slit, I don't see that anymore, right? I do see the colors of the scale, which right now I have it set to a melodic minor scale. Right, and I've been working on this shape on the bass too, which is 2 adjacent notes, skip 1, 2 adjacent notes, and then up here, skip 3 notes where you're skipping every other one, and then again 2 adjacent, skip 1, 2 adjacent, and then do that again, and moving like diagonally. So that's a lot of times that's how I think about scales. I try to understand like a logical pattern that repeats, and then I don't necessarily have to be thinking of note name. Not necessarily. I just don't think of note names. That's how I do everything. But I start internalizing the sound. Now, the interesting thing that I'm noticing also about this surface now is that it might help me play without pitch quantize, because the slit is smack in the middle, and it gives me a tactile and visual representation of the middle of the pad, which may help me. Let me remove pitch quantize and see how well I can play this in tune if it's completely free, right? We need to turn the volume up on this a little bit. Yeah, check it out. So there's no pitch quantize right now. So any little movement up or down is being reflected. Wow, I think this is the main advantage of this surface, is it gives me a really accurate, so I can forego the pitch quantize and still play in tune. And it's more sensitive to minute microtonal changes. I can really play it like a fretless instrument without the crutch. Yes, it still takes a little bit of practice, but it does make it much easier to play the instrument without pitch quantization in tune. And therefore be more expressive, subtly expressive. You know, I don't think I need to calibrate this thing. Here's the velocity, pressure, up and down movement, as we can see on the screen, the cello, you know, the bow pizzicato position, perfectly reflecting my position on the pad. Oh, and in fact, the little ridge, the slit right on the new surface, also is like, works as a little channel for me to actually slide my finger up and down rather than roll it. And that turns out to work out to work better than rolling it. And the vibrato, it gives me that center. I really feel where the center of the note is. So I can roll my finger back and forth and really feel where I'm supposed to land when I stop my vibrato. Wow, this is great. Sound Workshop, thank you so much for this wonderful gift. This has improved on something that I thought was perfect and unimprovable, which is the instrument. Now I feel like I have a brand new instrument. Okay, moving on to the next gift that I got. I got 3 gifts. Those little DIY kits, this wonderful Surface, and the audio modeling license for a new instrument that I didn't have before. They gave me string sections ready to install, not for resale license. Wow. Cool. This is awesome. I've always, this is something I actually need as a composer, to have really cool string sections. For that, I have been using sampled instruments like Native Instruments Contact, some libraries in there, and they work out okay, you know, if you need to compose with strings for film or TV. Although not for film, I wouldn't use fake strings normally for film. However, for with the Swam, I would, you know, because of how expressive they are, and we're gonna see how they sound, how they feel. I don't know if I want them on this composition though, because already yesterday I was feeling like we were getting dense, right? Let's listen while this thing is installing. Oh, well, it's been installed. That was quick. I think we should probably quit and restart Pro Tools though. Save. And as Pro Tools is starting, why don't we have a quick look at the calibration here.
I'm going to only test this row, which is one of the 2 center rows, and I'm going to move my finger in the y-axis, listening to the duduk sound from the Linstrument MPE library winds folder. So you hear that tone change. Let's try it on the second column. Now I've intentionally loosened this screw so that it doesn't produce y-axis output. So listen to the third column, which is starting to be affected by this loose.
Yeah, we've already kind of tested that, haven't we? And it seems to be working all throughout the instrument. So yeah, maybe I should just leave it as it is, and if I notice something wrong with it, I will calibrate it then. That's interesting. I replaced the Surface with an entirely new and different one, and it seems to not have needed any calibration. Regardless, we'll have a look at how to calibrate. I don't know, you know, maybe I'll do that later if I need to. I don't want to waste you guys' time watching me do boring like admin stuff. And instead, let's, you know, Pro Tools is already loaded up again, and we can try. Excuse me, folks. We can try now. Oh, look, Twin Cities is here. Yo, yo, how you doing? Twin Cities Oxygen, welcome. And where do I get one of these Surfaces? Right, I showed in the beginning of the stream. I got it as a gift from Sound Workshop. They have this wonderful instrument Surface, and honestly, I'm leaving this thing on, because now I have slits that tell me exactly where the center position of each note is. So I can forego the pitch quantization and use it like a fretless with lines, and better than lines, because since they're ridges, you can feel them. Like the lines on a fretless, you can only see. But these almost act like little inverted frets. So and they're they're a little kind of bumpy like this too, so you can really feel the change in a row. So that you can play with your eyes closed on this, and you can still see the LEDs. It's black, so it matches the surrounding frame. I'm loving this thing. I'm loving this thing, and I installed it just now, and doesn't seem to need calibration. It seems like the instrument is working perfectly as it was with the original, which I'm gonna take this opportunity to wash because this thing is looking disgusting. I don't know if you can see all the gunk. I don't even know how that got on there because I do take good care of my instrument. I keep it in its uh, neoprene uh, case most of the time, so it shouldn't have gotten dirty like that. I guess sometimes I do leave it out for a long time when I'm using it every day and I'm not putting it away all the time. So I'll wash that thing, put it away, and I'll keep this one clean as well. So yeah, this is soundwork.shop, the instrument Sound Workshop. They are the makers of the Wiggler, which is a standalone synth with 4-touch surfaces, and the Chord, which is a sound bath synthesizer for harmony exploration. So those are the three products that they make. They're a young company just starting out. The only thing that's available for purchase right now is the instrument surface, though. They are working on new batches of the other two instruments. Okay, cool, folks. So as I was telling Twin Cities, I read it could be like some dirt where surface joins the PCB or whatever, but recalibration seemed to solve it. I had to recalibrate my instrument when I got it. Yeah, I have recalibrated at some point. I was having some trouble, and Roger helped me figure it out. Um, and I part of the procedure to fix it was to recalibrate it. So I've done the recalibration procedure a couple of times in the past, but it looks like honestly the surface just it was a drop-in replacement, and I don't think if I start feeling like something's not responding correctly, I will do the calibration. But I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm gonna fix what ain't broke, right, folks? All right, so that's Sound Workshop. Thank you, Sound Workshop, for this wonderful gift that has brought new life to my instrument controller. Now we have just installed Twin Cities, as I was telling Mithupa. I showed audio modeling our stream from yesterday, and they were so excited. They have generously gifted me a new instrument, which is a string section. So let's go ahead and open up Shift Command N on Pro Tools. Stereo instrument track. I'm going to call this strings. And I have never had any sections. That's when I started working with them, they only had the solo instruments. So it's kind of a new thing. So let's go multi-channel plugins. I've just installed it. I restarted my Pro Tools so I could install. And here it is. Oh wow, we have a double bass section. We have viola section, violin section. So maybe let's start with the violin section. I'm sure there's cello section in there too. Wow, this is so cool, folks. Look at that. Now you see the violins. Instead of seeing one instrument over here, you see like a couple of ghost violins behind it to indicate that this is a section. And it also shows up in the sound stage here, right? We're in Studio A. We have 5 sources, the Barry Sox, and we've placed them. So maybe we'll put the violins like back here, a little bit to the left. We have the cello, the clarinet, the soprano sax, and the baritone. And now violins. Now, compositionally, I'm not sure I want the strings there because I was already feeling like the 4-piece playing so experimentally, or however you want to call it, so atonally, was already getting dense and ambiguous. But I just want to check out these strings. I'm going to play them. And okay, so as with any other of their instruments, we have to go to the MIDI mapping and choose a template for the instrument, which they have graciously created for me already. And we can close this now and go back to the main screen. And let's hear what it sounds like. It's sounding really nice. Now, pitch variations on higher pitched instruments are more perceptible to the human ear. So on the cello, I felt like I was nailing the notes without needing pitch quantization, with just using the ridges. Here on violin, I'm starting to feel like I should probably turn on the quantization. Especially if I try to do like faster runs, but I'm not necessarily feeling each individual slit for each individual note. It definitely makes me play more in tune than the other surface without pitch quantization, which is great because then you can be very subtle with the microtonality, with the vibrato. You don't have to pass a certain threshold, right? A certain threshold of movement for it to snap out of the quantized pitch, which happens slightly when you use pitch quantize. I mean, it's very well implemented. By the way, I didn't mention the firmware programming on this is by another friend of mine called Geert Bevin, or Geert, because he's Dutch. So maybe that's how you pronounce his name, Geert. But I think most people, he lives in the States now because he is the head of software for Moog Music. So all the Moog iPad synthesizers, for example, he's in charge of all those. And I've made some, we became friends because of the iPad musician group, and I became beta tester for a lot of their software, as well as I've designed quite a few of the presets on the Model 15 and the Model D. And I think I've done a few for the new Animal Z as well. So I've done a lot of presets for Moog software. So that's the same guy that did the firmware for this thing, and he's a genius. So while Roger is a hardware genius and created the whole concept, Geert, the software genius, has made the software implementation absolutely perfect. Let's go up an octave and see. All right, I'm going to turn on the pitch quantization. And as well, and the hold. Pitch, quantize, and hold. So now it's a little harder for me to like do these really minute microtonal, right? It doesn't quite do that. But it will recognize when I do a glissando as well as a vibrato. Just have to be a little more forceful with it. But then I can play faster runs in tune. I'm really always impressed with how you can hear like that rosin, like the bow, the scratchiness of the bow with rosin on a string on these, considering these are not samples. You see that bow going up and down there? That's the vertical movement on the instrument here. And it seems to be working perfectly, even on the edge positions here. Oh, that's not out of range. That's just out of the tessitura. Cool. This sounds really nice. Thank you so much, Emanuele. And thank you so... Roger! Roger's here. Oh, I'm so honored to have you in my stream. I'm so glad you were able to join with such short notice. This is a huge honor to have you here, Roger. Thank you so much for joining. Have you, I'm sure that you are aware of the existence of this alternative surface for the instrument, right? I don't think they would have done it without your blessing and consultation and approval. I'm curious to hear what your opinion on it is. I'm really enjoying the fact that I have a tactile uh, feedback on the very center of each note with these little ridges here. My pleasure, Kinka, says Roger. Wow, that's it. You've made my day, my week, my month, Roger. Thank you so much for joining us. And maybe Emanuele from audio modeling will join as well. He told me he might try. Um, he saw the stream from yesterday and gifted me this wonderful new instrument, the violin section. Yes, I worked with Chris to help him make it. Yes, I thought so. And guess what, Roger? I don't know if you were here when I was installing it earlier, but I didn't need to calibrate it. I just dropped in the new surface, and it seems to be working perfectly without having had to redo the calibration procedure at all. I mean, everything, even the edge pads, unless they're out of range, they're all working very well. Roger says, I'm honored that Chris felt the instrument was close enough to perfect that he wanted to further improve it towards his preference. Yeah. Oh man, you know, for me it was already perfect. I didn't think there could be an improvement, but I think this is a slight one, Roger. I don't think it needs it necessarily, but I am enjoying that I can now play my instrument with my eyes closed and really feel where the center of each note is. And I can even, you know, if I'm playing slowly, I can forego the pitch quantization altogether and still play fairly in tune with it. And which means I can be a little bit more expressive with the pitch as far as being, you know, microtonal. See, if I use the pitch quantize and hold feature, I can't be this subtle with the pitch. This is really nice, and I'm a microtonalist, so this is going to be really nice. And it looks really cool too, in all black. I'm enjoying it a lot. Roger says, I think it's an issue of preference. Some prefer the original surface. Some prefer Chris's surface. It's great to give people the choice. Exactly. Wonderful. So I'm playing this without pitch quantization right now, and I'm definitely nailing it way better than I was on the original surface. I'm a bass player, and I play upright and fretless. So this is, like I was mentioning earlier, similar to having lines on a fretless bass that guide you. Although you still always need to count on your ears to be sure. All right, so let's have a listen. Even we enjoy watching how you perfect playing the instrument bit by bit. Cool, thank you, Mithupa. Mithupa is a 17-year-old clarinetist from Sri Lanka, clarinetist and saxophonist from Sri Lanka, who's been joining the stream quite assiduously. I'm very happy to have him. And he's the one who's been mostly interested on the instrument and its use with physical modeling software. So he's inspired these last few streams. and I'm really happy to have him here. Let's have a listen to my composition as it goes so far. Roger, I'm kind of a cheater as far as composing contemporary classical music. I have no theoretical backing whatsoever to what I'm doing. I'm basically improvising in layers and editing what sounds bad to my ears, and that's how I do it. So I think if I was offering this up in an academic context, I might be called out as a fraud. But like Miles Davis used to say, was it him? If it sounds good, it is good, and that's even completely subjective, isn't it? So let's have a listen to the composition as it's going so far. We have a cello, a clarinet, a soprano sax, and a bari sax. What I did is I copied the MIDI from the soprano sax and then did a little transposition, moved a couple of notes, transposed it also to a different place in the scale, and moved it slightly in time because I figured the bari reed would probably respond a little later than the soprano sax reed, and that all helped make it not sound like a copied MIDI and more like another instrumentalist doubling the first one. And so let's listen to this, and then we'll add a layer of strings. It's short; it's not even 3 minutes long, so hopefully nobody will get bored listening to it. Let's listen to it as it's progressing so far. Roger says, if it works, don't change it, right? Well, it's the only way for me, man. I'm neurodivergent, and traditional ways of learning and doing things don't work for me, so I have to find my own. Couple of notes there I'm not convinced about. Might do a little editing still on the MIDI here. So there it is, my layered improvisation composition. Kinkas, I must leave for a meeting coming up, but thanks for inviting me to your live stream, and thanks for featuring the instrument and helping to spread the word about it. Roger, it was a pleasure to have you, even if for a short time. Thank you very much for joining. I feel very honored, and you made my week. Have a great meeting, and thank you for the instrument. Thank you for being who you are, and the MPC and everything else that you do that's so amazing. Thank you so much, Roger. Sounds really good, Kinka says Twin Cities Oxygen. Yeah, I like to imagine that if I were to ask, I say ask someone to do it because I couldn't do it. If I were to ask like a copyist or someone, bye now, bye Roger, thank you. And if I were to ask someone to transcribe this into a comprehensible score and hand the sheet music and have an ensemble with these exact instruments, rehearse it and perform it in the hall, that this might, sound good enough uh, in the context of contemporary classical music. And despite the fact that my process of arriving at this is very different from most classical composers who are much more deliberate and theoretical about how they do things. So that's my illusion. My illusion is that maybe someday somebody will think it's cool enough to actually have an ensemble perform these things live. Um, so I don't know. I had the intention to go into some acoustic instruments now because I like part of my process when doing these things is if I'm using a lot of digital sources, I mix them with acoustic sources. And that mix helps to cloud the situation so that it fools the listener into thinking that the whole thing is acoustic. So if I play my melodica, some cymbals with mallets, and what was the other thing I was thinking of doing? Maybe the marimba. So in short, if I added some actual acoustic instruments instead of physical modeling, then it would help. It would help to make the composition sound more acoustic, organic, so on. But now that I have these strings, I want to at least try a take and see if they will add something to the composition or if it'll get too busy. But I think it'd be nice to. And I will leave them like this without the quantization. I will let them be a little bit out of tune in microtonal because I think that maybe in the context of the whole thing, considering that all the other instruments are perfectly tuned, then possibly. Oh, yeah, also the upright bass, right, Mithupa? The thing is, the upright bass is in the house, which is close. It's just across a short path here, but it is a heavy and cumbersome instrument to carry over. So I think I'm going to focus a whole song on the upright bass starting next week. I actually have the song written already. It's a song I wrote years ago, before you were born, Mithupa, that I remembered as when my bass came back from the luthier. I remembered the whole song, and I thought this would be a nice one to do in the live stream and to have a record of it and an arrangement of it, right? So let's first do a take of the strings here. We'll see if we like them and leave them in the composition. Then we'll have a quick listen and see if I need to adjust any notes. No, my studio is not far from home. It's two houses like very close together. But like I said, it would take me a few minutes to walk over there, get the bass, and carefully, because all the doors are small and there are stairs and stuff, to get it over here would be a little bit of a waste of everybody's time. And I don't think I need it for this composition. I might use the double bass section that I just got from audio modeling. And then I'll use some other acoustic instruments, and we'll start, like I said, a, a, a song where the double bass is featured. It's the melodic instrument for most of it on Monday. And we'll work on that song for a couple of days next week. In fact, I've been practicing the upright bass every morning to get my intonation back up to speed, and hopefully I'll be able to perform the song adequately on Monday. But today, no upright bass today. Sorry, folks. All right, so let's do a string violin section. In fact, I think the fuzziness of the microtonal element might be welcome. Let's see. No, I'm not liking it. I'm thinking that it's already atonal enough to where microtonal on top is going to make it not sound as nice. So that means we're going to turn on pitch quantize and hold. Or maybe we won't hold fast. Let's see. So as long as it still reads my glissandi and vibrato, cool. I think I like it. It's a higher pitch than everything else that's on there, so it finds its place, doesn't it? The violin section. So let's do it. Let's record a take of this. Okay, still getting a feel for it, for the sound and the surface. All new, right? Both things are new today, the software and the hardware surface. Right? Okay, I'm gonna try not to do so many false starts and just relax, take a breath, get in game mode. You know what I mean by game mode, folks? You know, there's practice mode and there's game mode. Like when you're practicing, you're drilling, you're trying stuff, you're repeating things to get them down, and you're not projecting and you're not getting in the mindset of performing and creating art for an audience. Game mode is a whole different thing. Like you're no longer going to be doing repetitions and drilling and being mindless, and so there's a reverence that comes with game mode with and that takes a little bit of a mindset reset. So take a breath, you know, and imagine that maybe I'm at a hall performing this in front of an audience, and that usually helps make the performance a little bit better. Um, Lumimia, I just come by to say hello, listen a little bit, the evolution of the composition, and I will cheat with the subtitles a little later. Bonsoir, bonsoir Lumimia, bienvenue. Merci. Uh, I'm loving it that I have a captive audience of very few, 3, 4, 5 people, but that are showing up every day. It's an honor. Thank you very much, all of you. Okay, let's go. I need to take that breath and let the music flow through me. Okay, that was better. But I'm realizing a couple of things, and let's contemplate them. One, vibrato. A solo instrument, when it's playing melodically, and it's the featured instrument, or maybe even not, but it's a solo instrument, it can do vibrato because it's by itself in its range and doing what it's doing. A whole section like this, I don't think that the whole section would be able to nail the vibrato rhythm exactly the same, the way that it happens when I perform it on the instrument. So that's making the vibrato sound unnatural. So I think that the expression here needs to be much more about the pressure that I apply and the variations in dynamics. The notes getting louder, softer, and maybe the occasional slide glissando, which I think that you could rehearse a section to perform more or less together, but still also be economical with that. So it's those are the kinds of thoughts that come to my mind to make this more authentic, more believable. So that means while I like mm, while I like the take that I just did, I'm thinking a few things. One, it's a little busy, right? Because the song's already busy. So playing a lot of notes with the violin will just make it more busy. And I also would like to avoid doing too many glissandi, definitely avoid vibrato, and do another take. And while I like this, since I like this take, I'll just open a playlist so I don't lose this one, right? This one will be stored away as one of the playlists of the track. Methupa is asking me if I'm not interested in making music like the Mandalorian theme song. You know, I love the Mandalorian theme song, especially because it's got elements of Western, like Ennio Morricone, And sometimes I like to do like indie rock music that I call surf Western. I find that especially that twangy guitar with the bridge pickup that Western music and surf music both use, I find like that's the converging point of those two styles. So sometimes I make music that could easily like be heard as belonging both in the surf rock kind of style and the Western soundtrack kind of style. And Mithupa I have many times. It's quite a resource that I use a lot, is using references. So inspiring my composition on a previously existing thing. But today we are not doing that. Today we're creating pretty much from scratch something in a non-genre inspired by the sounds themselves. So okay, so let's do this new take where I will not do vibrato with a string section. That doesn't make sense. We'll do vibrato with solo instrument, not with the string section. Because if string sections do vibrato, each violin would be doing it a little bit differently, and you get a different effect than when they're all moving together, which is not natural. All right, so let's do it. Okay, I'm still getting a feel for it. Also the range, right? I feel like these really high notes don't really work. and very low ones are getting to the cello territory. So I'm trying to find like the spot where it fits, kind of motions that work, kind of notes that work. So still need to do one more take, and also take a breath and get into game mode. I think I'm going to start with this note here. Let's see. I still feel like I'm getting in the way. I'm busy, and I'm also like it still feels improvised, which a string section couldn't do, right? They couldn't improvise from the same mind like I'm doing. Oh, what happened? My main camera shut off by itself. Looks like. So we're not looking at my beautiful face anymore. What happened here? Let's see. That hadn't happened before. USB mode. Mass storage. No, that's not what we want. Hold on. Hold on, folks. Let me just fix the camera situation here real quick. And USB streaming. Connect the camera to USB. And there it goes. It's back. All right. So I don't know. I don't know about this violin for this song, actually. Just watched a bit of your first live stream, and the hair looks nice. My hair is quite a thing, quite an issue here. I usually try to have like a band holding it down because I get, part of my autism is my stimming, which is playing with the hair. You might notice that sometimes when I'm listening, I might start doing little braids and doing little twirls and stuff. So I try to hold back by, I take a shower and put a headband up. But I like my hair. Like the solution, the easy solution would be to cut it all off and have short hair. But I really like having longer hair. I enjoy the stimming situation, just not when I'm in front of a lot of people trying to accomplish a composition. Everything has its time and place. Okay. You also do that? Cool. All right. So I'm going to do one more try, folks. I'm going to do one more try with this violin. And if I don't feel it, it'll have been really nice to discover it, test it, try it out with the new surface for the instrument. And we'll use it somewhere else. We'll use it in a different composition someday. But perhaps it's not for this one. But I will give it one more try. Now that was a little glitch there. Like jumped. Velocity jumped. Okay, one more try. Yeah, that did it again. The velocity jumped. Maybe I do need to calibrate it. All right, let's just try it one more time. No, maybe it's not violins, right? We haven't checked out the other sections. Let's try a different one. So the double bass, why not? We don't have anything down that low. We have the cello, but this is lower. Try filling in only the empty spaces with the violin. Yeah, that's the thing. I like the empty spaces, Matupa. Bunny hop, please. No, we're not doing bunny hop today, TUI Pro. You can go listen to bunny hop if you like. It's one of my kids' tunes, folks. Those are some of my best work. A lot of people use those kids' tunes. So let's go to templates here, and we'll choose the instrument. And these are double basses now. So we're gonna have to bring down the octave. Ooh. Oh, I think this is the thing. This is the thing that we needed. I think it even sounds better and more convincing than the violins. Yeah, that was the idea. So let's try this. And again, if this doesn't fit, we'll consider the experiment with the digital instruments to be finished, and we'll go on to add some acoustic elements. All right, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. One more try. Let's let you see the MIDI as it writes. That was much better, wasn't it? Probably terribly late, but hola Kinka, says Breeze. Breeze, you're about an hour and 20 minutes into the stream. You missed Mr. Roger Lynn, who joined us today, because I let him know that I was featuring the instrument, and I installed a brand new surface, which is wonderful. It's a black surface with ridges and slits, so you can feel the center of the notes. It's more tactile. You can play it. The bass sound gave me goosebumps, says Matupa. Yeah, I think we're also trying out something else new. Physical, analog modeling, no, audio modeling from Italy. I always get there's too much information in my brain to try to get it all out. Anyway, audio modeling has gifted me one more instrument collection, which is their string sections, right? I showed him yesterday's stream, and he was very happy that I featured their instrument, and he thanked me by gifting me another license. And that's what we're trying right now. This is the double bass section, so it's not a solo instrument. And I'm using two brand new things today then that I got as gifts. The instrument Surface by what are they called again? Let me show you the website real quick. By Sound Workshop, right? And this is it right here. It was just drop-in replacement. I removed the screws around the frame of the instrument, removed the old original surface, put in the new one, tightened the screws back on, not too much. Didn't even need to calibrate it. It worked perfectly right away. And then we're also testing the audio modeling string sections. We started with violin, but I tried many takes and didn't really feel happy with any of them, so I figured I'd try using the double basses, since I didn't bring my upright bass into the studio today, and I'm not gonna. It takes some time because I have to be very careful moving it. It's a large instrument, and this is like a hobbit house and studio, so I have to go up and down stairs, go through little doors and things. I'm not gonna waste your time with that. We're gonna do a bass-centered composition on Monday. So today I used the audio modeling contrabass section. So all right, so I think that's I'm happy with that take, but not completely. So that means I'm going to do a little bit of editing. Let's listen, and we'll listen. I'm going to turn first. Okay, first things first. We need to do a little bit of editing, I think, on the baritone. So let's listen to the composition without the contrabass and see if we make some space on sections that don't sound great. Not that any of this sounds great anyway, but you know what I mean. I think I got used to it now, and I can't tell which sections I didn't like. This, by the way, is the baritone saxophone, and I have placed them like this: baritone, cello, clarinet, double basses. I think should be back here, maybe. Soprano sax. So we made it very symmetrical. Yeah, I think I'm no longer bothered by whatever was bothering me before. Yeah, I think I like it now. Whatever I was hearing before that bothered me doesn't bother me anymore. Probably just got used to it. So let's open up the string bass again. And are there any piccolos? I think I do have a piccolo. I have some. Oh, well, no, I don't have the flutes. Let's see. I'm gonna have a quick look just to answer Mithupa's question. But I don't think I have the swan piccolos. Maybe that would be my next. Oh, I have a piccolo trumpet, see? But not a piccolo flute. Right, I don't have the flutes. I'm still missing those. It's a lot of instruments and they're expensive. So even though some of them I got for free, I have updated some of them, paid for the updates, and I might end up getting the flutes. But okay, so let's listen to. We're gonna add the same reverb and delay to the double bass. No, the double basses need to be a little drier, right? Because they're very low pitched. So let's just listen and see if we need to edit any of the bass take. There's a cello note I don't love because it's covering up this nice little silent space over here. So let's open the MIDI editor here. And now that the basses are in, I think this is the cello note over here that I don't like. Let's just listen. See, I like these pauses, right? Little silences. Yeah, this cello note right here. What happens if I delete it? Let's see. Yeah, I think I like it. Listen to that double bass filling out the bottom end over there, doing like a pedal note. Breeze is saying it sounds great. Thanks, buddy. Okay, here's a bass note that maybe I don't love. I'm just gonna go ahead and edit it like this. Oh, I need to get the beginning of it. Yeah, see, the bass is so powerful that when it stops playing, you really feel the impact. So even silences are meaningful. No, we'll leave that note. Maybe we just want it to be a little bit sooner. A little bit more urgent, right? Along with the clarinet. I'm hearing little clicks like glitches. We're probably overloading my machine a little bit with the streaming, plus all of the real-time processing of these complex software. the bass was the right choice, folks. It doesn't detract. It really adds something. Nice, nice. I like it. I like it. I think I'm going to accept these takes as they are. And what we're going to do now to clear up some processing on my machine is first I'm going to go to Playback Engine over here and give myself a little bit more buffer. And then I'm going to commit these tracks. So that's kind of like freezing, but what commit does is it records them into audio tracks and then hides and makes inactive the original MIDI. So I don't lose the original MIDI. It just renders the tracks in place. On Pro Tools, you used to have to open new stereo audio tracks, route the output of the instrument tracks to those audio tracks, record enable them, hit record in real time, and that's how you would convert virtual instrument tracks into real instrument tracks, right? Now here I have an issue. Look, I probably should have consolidated that MIDI. Let's make sure that it's not cutting off like decay or reverb where I had edited the MIDI track on the bass here. Okay, no, it's not cutting off anything important. So, okay. Now, sometimes, we can go back now to Playback Engine and go back to a smaller buffer for lower latency, because we're going to start recording acoustic instruments now. What was I saying just now? Yeah, sometimes the renderer doesn't sound good, like it glitches out for some reason. So it'd be a good idea to listen to this. But then again, we might as well listen to it while I record some mallets on cymbals. Right? Oh, actually, we want to record enable, not solo these instruments. So I'm just going to use my quad overhead setup. Or should I record the entire drums in case I want to hit some toms? No, let's just record the entire drum set. And we'll turn on my count off, which is an 8-bar count off. That's so I have time to go over there to the drum set. And oh no, again, I left my transmitter on. So I'm going to have to plug it into USB power. The battery's gone. Okay, headphone transmitter is on. And I'm going to put down my headphones, turn off the microphone. Kenneth, mix the tracks like you're mixing the colors of life with passion and purpose. Kenneth, you've said that to me before. Don't repeat yourself. It's a really nice phrase, though. It's almost 1 a.m. here, Mithupa. You have to go. Okay, I understand, my friend. You're in Sri Lanka and it's very late. You can listen to the rest of the song tomorrow. I'm going to be done pretty soon, in about half an hour anyway. Thank you for joining once again, my friend. And I'll see you. I don't think tomorrow. I do take breaks on the weekends. But we'll see each other on Monday when I'll be doing my bass-centered, Mancini-inspired spy jazz song. That'll be the next composition, and that'll be number 10, which means that after that we're going to do final mixes, mastering, naming the songs, creating an album cover, and publishing them. It'll be a 10-song album called Human Music Volume 1. All right, so let's do these drums. All right, folks, Mr. One Take is back. It's funny when I go play real things instead of software. I'm much better at those. I'm happy with that first take. I'm not going to need to do a second, third, or fourth. And we're going to add some reverb to this so that it fits in that universe, right? Reverb, Valhalla. We'll leave the preset as it is. We're going to add it to mostly the overheads. I think that should be enough. We might not need a lot of the individual sounds. This is not a groove track, you know, it's atmospheric. So let's hear what the drums are sounding like by themselves for a bit, and then we'll hear them in context. I'm going to group them and solo them. And let's just balance. Let's go to a portion where I play the other instruments, right? Like here. I think it's sounding good. Probably don't need to do anything. Now, did I play the kick at all? A little moment here when I kind of rumble on the kick a little bit. Yep. Yeah, it looks like the kick microphone is a little bit farther away. Move the stand. So we need to give it a little bit of clip gain there. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, now we can hear that kick drum. Oh, this sounds really nice. These drums sound so beautiful. I'm so glad I got these fancy cymbals. It was a nice investment. So who's here? Breeze is still here. Lumimia is still here. Twin Cities Oxygen. Say hi, folks. Kenneth makes the tracks like you're mixing the colors of life with passion and purpose. So let's listen to the whole thing, and maybe I don't think it needs a lot more, folks. Maybe I'm just gonna add like some accents with the new melodica, just to have one of the melodic instruments be an acoustic one, and that should do it for the song, and we can finish today's stream and the song that we've been working on for 2 days. No, yeah. But most songs take 3. This one only 2, because I'm not trying to fit into any existing genre. So that means I'm not trying to fulfill any expectations with this one, other than that it sounds good to my ears. And let's put up the microphone here. Good old Blueberry. Oh, my camera turned off again. It wasn't doing that. It wasn't ever doing that. Why is it doing it? Is the sensor maybe warming up? I think it's a little bit of a warm day here in Mexico City today. Perhaps that's the reason why my Sony camera is acting up. It's not wanting to stay on all the time. Okay. So now we have the Blueberry microphone set up. There's some noise from outside. I think it's a leaf blower or something. So we're gonna put this microphone very close up. Very close up. Wait a minute. Hoofjaw, I'm here too, lurking again. Hi, Hoofjaw. Good to see you, buddy. So glad to see repeat business, folks. Okay, let's try to turn on the Sony camera again. Boom. Oh, no, it needs to be disconnected from USB at first. Huh. It got out of the USB streaming page. Here we go. Now we connect it, and now it should be back. There we go. There it is. Sorry about that, folks. I think that's what it is. It's a warm day. I had to close the window because of the noise from outside. And it's not warm enough, often enough here to justify getting like an expensive mini split air conditioning. So oh, I love the way this fancy, expensive, professional melodica sounds. It might be my instrument, folks. I might be a melodica guy. All right, let's open up a track for this then, and record this guy, and we'll probably call it. We'll call it as it is, a contemporary classical music, a faux contemporary classical music composition. How's that? Which is actually just a layered atonal improvisation by a jazz musician pretending to be a classical composer. Okay, Melodica, and we need to assign the make sure fan and power is on. Let's check the level. Sounds pretty good. It's number 4, input A.number 4. Make sure that the low latency monitoring is on and delay compensation is off. And record enable the Melodica track. Let's go into the edit window so you can see as it progresses, so I can know when it's going to end. And hit record and go. Oh, sorry, I have the count off on my long ass 8-bar count off. That gives me time to walk up to the drum set. We don't need that right now because I'm right here. Okay, fumbled that. Oh, also we need to turn off, I think, my vocal mic. And again, perfect in the first take. Oh yeah, it's more my vibe, folks. I love the instrument. I love audio modeling, and there are times when they're absolutely what is required. But I have to say it's easier for me to play acoustic instruments. I seem to get good takes on the first try when I do that. Next, Hoofjaw from one life to the next. Well, that's you could be doing less productive things. Some people waste their free time. I think Hoofjaw is very smart for using their free time, watching creators create. And we need to we need a reverb for the melodica. Let's just drag this end here and the delay, why not? Let's have a listen to what it's sounding like by itself. If we need maybe a little bit of EQ or compression, I don't think so. Wow, that thing sounds so nice. Where are we gonna put it? Maybe it should be right down the middle, along with the bass section. Let's listen to the whole thing. Maybe the drums need to be a little louder. We'll add a little compression to the drums. Sub. Less reverb on the melodica. Yeah, definitely compress it a little bit. Cool. Yeah, it's sounding like an ensemble now. I'm really enjoying it. It is a little bit busy, but it's kind of justifiably busy at this point. I don't feel like anything is really too out of place. We're getting some nice silences, some nice textures. There's some lovely sort of Eastern sounding stuff coming from that melodica, and of course your good self. Thank you, Hofjaw. Yeah, I don't know. I'm Brazilian. I haven't even been to the East. I've been the farthest east I've been has been Europe and Western Europe at that. Um, so I don't know. Maybe it's ancestral Arab influence from when the Arabs controlled the Iberian Peninsula. Hey Kinkas, do you play the harmonica as well? The bending of notes can be really cool on these instruments. Look at this. Look at this. I do play the harmonica. And if you had been, Mr. Breeze, if you had been present on the day that I produced a blues song, you would have seen that. One of my streams was a blues. But the thing with the harmonica is it's diatonic. It's really hard to hit in between notes unless you're bending. That's why I like the melodica. Plus, I can play chords on the melodica. I can play, two notes together that are further apart than half or whole step. So I think for this song, the melodica was the right choice. But for other things, the harmonica is really nice. Okay, I think we're done with this song, folks, and we're 4 minutes from the scheduled end of the stream. Though today I don't even have to go pick up the girls at school. They didn't have any school today because of Mother's Day. The government moved the holiday to the 9th so that moms can have an extra rest day. Or with chromatic harmonica, the ones with the button on the side. I don't have one of those. That would be nice to get one of those sometime. But I'm so happy with the melodica. And it's such a similar sound, except that I can't bend it very well. That's true. There's also cool harmonica sounds that you can play. Roger Lynn himself has played quite a bit of instrument harmonica. But yeah, we've already come to the conclusion today that I'm way better performing acoustic instruments than I am with software stuff and controllers. No matter how expressive the controller and expressive the software, and you can't get any more expressive than a Lynn instrument controlling SWAM instruments. I want to thank again Audio Modeling and Emanuele for the wonderful string sections. I want to thank Roger Lynn for creating the little instrument and having been present, the illustrious presence in today's stream. And I want to thank Chris from Sound Workshop for having sent me this beautiful gift of a alternative surface for my instrument, which I think is better for me. Like Roger says, there will be some people who will prefer the original, and there will be some people who will prefer this alternate one. And I'm definitely one of those as a fretless bass player, somebody who likes to play with by tact, not so much by looking. This one gives me a lot more feedback, tactile feedback. So cool. So let's have a listen to the song, maybe touch up the mix a little bit, and be done for today. I'll say goodbye at the end, and we'll continue. We'll pick up on Monday, starting a brand new song, which, as I mentioned, will be a upright bass centered spy jazz, Mancini, Morricone kind of inspired spy jazz tune, and so let's listen to this in the meantime. I like it. I like this kind of stuff, folks. I know it's weird. I know it's not a funk or a blues, uh, but honestly, I really love this stuff. Breeze asked me what genre would I call this kind of music, and honestly, I wouldn't know. Maybe it's contemporary chamber music, but I went to school at the New England Conservatory, and they had three departments over there: classical, jazz, and then they had another one which used to be called third stream and had been renamed contemporary improvisation, which is that's the department I went to. And so did John Medeski, and so did John Fusinski, and a lot of other more alternative musicians have chosen that because what third stream contemporary improvisation was about was learning the basic musical skills. So technique on your instrument and ear training and theory and knowledge of mainly ear training. It was very heavy on the ear training and a lot of also varied musical cultures from contemporary classical to jazz to Indian classical music, flamenco. We were introduced Greek music. So the idea being that the third stream doesn't belong to either jazz or classical. It is improvisation, but not limited to either of those two traditions. So maybe this is a third stream composition. Maybe that's the genre I would call it, third stream chamber music, because it's not quite improvised, right? Since I used layered improvisation to compose it, but it is composed. All right. What else have people been saying? There's some lovely sort of Eastern sounding stuff. Hey Kinkas, do you play harmonica, chromatic? I find this song pretty damn impressive. The atmosphere is just awesome. Thank you very much, Breeze. I'm glad you like it. I think this kind of thing works really well sometimes for film scoring. I think that's where I've mostly done this professionally. This sort of concept and idea has been for film, where I'll be watching a screen and interacting using instruments. And it works because you create a vibe and an atmosphere that fits the image, and there isn't an expectation from the audience as far as genre, as far as having catchy lyric, danceable rhythm, as long as what you're doing reinforces the feelings and emotions that are evoked by the images. Uh, so I feel like film scoring is a really nice medium because of that. It can give a composer a lot of leeway, a lot of freedom to experiment because of that. Because it's not radio. It's not, there are no expectations other than that it works for the scene. So that's why a lot of the coolest experimental music I've ever heard has been in film score. It's really nice. The instruments weave in and out beautifully. Thank you, Hofjaw. Yeah, this is my strong suit, folks. I'm an improviser, so to compose, and I'm also a fan of atonal and microtonal and experimental musics and jazz and improvisation. So this is definitely like kind of my genre. Like I can fake most other genres okay, but this is probably like the thing that's probably more me. So thank you again, everyone, for having joined, and stay human, and see you on Monday. Monday's gonna be fun. I'm gonna bring out the upper.